Hello, Topcoder universe. Welcome to another installment of Topcoder Team Live. My name is Nick Castillo, your community manager, and I'm joined by Nick Perez, who is Nick Perez. Would you like to introduce yourself? You have quite the title at Booz Allen Hamilton. So
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Nick. I am a chief technologist at Booz Allen Hamilton in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Nick. And we are here particularly because the TCO16 finals are coming up very soon at the end of November. And Nick works with Booz Allen Hamilton, who is our sponsor and is actually hosting the event at their Innovation Center in Washington, D.C. We were just there a couple weeks ago, or last week, and it's just an amazing space. I'm very excited. We don't have to do much transforming because the place is pretty amazing with all the different types of technologies. There's screens everywhere. It's gonna be an awesome time, and we're very excited to be there as well. Nick Perez is no stranger to Topcoder. Actually, he's kind of been around Topcoder almost as long as it's been a company. And I'd like to ask Nick if he could just kind of give us a little bit of background of kind of his career. You know, where did he come from? How did he come to be here at Booz Allen? So Nick, would you like to give us a little background on yourself?
Sure thing, Nick. Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Nick Perez, originally from London, but that was over 23 years ago, if you can believe that. I spent a bit of time in California, a bit of time at Netscape, if anyone can even remember that browser and that soft piece of software. I used to create Navigator browsers and install kind of servers and calendar and mail servers and such, and directory servers. Eventually ended up at America Online, AOL, which pretty much everyone should be pretty familiar with, and was helping the AOL Instant Messenger team with the API program that they had on top of AOL AIM, and help with all the partners. And so we wrote a bunch of APIs, and we needed tools and software written on, built on top of it. And we were interested in kind of challenge-based computing and how to motivate kind of crowds to kind of gravitate kind of before any GitHub or SourceForge or any of those things were really popular. So how could we motivate and build like a community of people that were interested in AIM? And so we were utilizing some other platforms out there where you would work with individual developers, and it was a bit challenging, integrating the code that we would get back and the consistency of the code. So we were looking for an alternative provider that would had the element of the review process. So not only the review of the challenge specification, but also review of the output. So review of the code, the scorecard, and then kind of the appeals and final fix process. And it was we found Topcoder, and it was really a match made in heaven very, very quickly. We'd sponsored a TCO a couple of times, Vegas, I think San Francisco as well. We even put TCO online. If you remember, it was televised with Jeremy Schaff, an ESPN producer. We had a whole film crew. We were part of those days as well. We did recruit a couple of Topcoder guys, but it wasn't a key core focus of ours. It was meeting the members that were working on our challenges, showcasing the kind of the output and what was the art of the possible, and kind of describe that to other clients of Topcoder. I'm an original software developer from way back when. But obviously, utilizing Topcoder, I get to see that my software development skills are very lacking. But I do like to help. I love building things, love building technology, love seeing other people create and ideate on top of things. I love the componentization of Topcoder. It really, really helps get feedback at every stage of the process. And we all want to do agile things and agile software development, where you can piece it out and constantly change. The business is changing, the clients are changing. So being able to feed that loop constantly into every aspect and even take it, changes along the way, the Topcoder model really, really works.
I totally agree, and I feel like I myself can kind of react to that as well. Where I was a Java developer for a while, and just kind of love seeing all this innovation take place. Technology's come a long way. There are new languages now, and people utilizing that in different ways. It's really great to see. So I I was actually kind of curious. You mentioned the ESPN announcement. I keep hearing about this. Can you elaborate a bit more? What was that? Was that in Vegas?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was in Vegas. It was in a ballroom, and the key part was that a HDTV film crew arrived. They backed a tractor trailer up, and it came from a team that weekend before they televised the NFL. So now, American football was televised by the same team, the same truck, the same equipment. They backed it up outside the hotel. They ran these kind of cameras on booms and the whole microphones and the whole setup of how they would move around, just like you create a whole studio set. And then they built a stage. They built a stage where they had Jeremy Schaff, which is his very famous commentator, sports commentator on the network. And then he set up 4 hours of material of how he would interview. And he interviewed Petter and a couple other members, and they had a running commentary around the competitors and the different types of challenges. But what was amazing was not only that they had 4 hours of material, that they seamlessly wove it. It was the quality of how he broke down the challenges. He understood how it was actually going to work. He had questions that were appropriate. So he totally geeked out in the entire process. And then we live streamed it. So it was just a phenomenon in and of itself, the caliber of the stage, but the competitors really got into it. And so that you could see the B-roll and the all material, the coding, and how people really responded to the cameras. And then obviously we got hundreds of thousands of views online.
That's amazing. And I want to remind everyone else, we're going to be doing that as well at this event. Our very own Will Price will be running a Twitch live stream from the TCO16 event in Washington, D.C. So definitely tune in to our Twitch channel. We'll post a link. We'll probably be streaming from the Topcoder website as well. So definitely check that out when the time comes. But let's move back to Booz Allen. So I'm a member who is not too familiar about what Booz Allen is, what they do. Could you tell us a little bit about Booz Allen?
Yeah, sure. So Booz Allen Hamilton was started over 100 years ago. We're a consulting company, very US based, although we do have offices in the Middle East and in Singapore. We pride ourselves that we're a 100-year-old startup. That's how we look at ourselves. We're driving innovation across every area, but we work on our clients' hardest problems. Of the US federal government. You name it, an area or an agency within the federal government, we've probably done some work or are constantly doing some work for them. Lots of commercial clients, and then lots of just known federal clients. And the federal agencies are very interested in crowdsourcing. So very interested in crowd, very interested in challenge-based innovation. But the key areas that we work on our analytics, strategy, just management strategy. I want to build a new product. I want to build a new service. I want to do something better than what I did before. Right? Analytics, data analytics, data science, algorithms, constantly about business and building data. A lot of cloud, I would have to say, a lot of leveraging the cloud. How do I migrate systems? So we have a very established software development process. We're getting into DevOps, microservices, Docker, lots of the kind of the latest and greatest of technologies, but how to do it at scale and in a repeatable process. Okay, that's the key part. But within the firm, it's I say over 100 years old. It's a very traditional consulting company, but untraditional. 3.5 years ago, we created the thing called the Strategic Innovation Group, the SIG. Took about 10% of our staff, and we created a SIG. And in the SIG, our charge was to build products, build capabilities, and rapid prototype. And when we created it, it was very clear that Topcoder would be really, really helpful in that kind of aspect of being able to rapidly turn around an idea, prototype it, ideate. We fail fast, learn things very, very quickly around an idea to see before we go to the next stage. Not take 6 months, not really even take 6 weeks. It's really around 6 to 12 days to ideate on an idea, get a prototype in someone's hands, even if it's just a clickable mobile prototype. But utilizing the latest and greatest technologies. So using Node, Angular, Amazon, all the latest and greatest things, very, very lightweight, but very, very quick. So we've done a lot of creative design to date, but we are doing, we've done quite a bit of, I think at least over 60 projects we've done with Topcoder.
Wow.
since we started. Yeah, so it's a lot of work, a lot of varied work, but it's about educating our clients on how they can actually use crowd and actually use it for different bits and pieces depending on what their core mission is.
That's great. I think that actually answered my next question of why Booz chooses to work with Topcoder. And it's simply amazing, though, right? It's like you don't necessarily have to go through tons of resumes, you know, just to try to solve something quickly. Like you said, you want to solve projects, you know, relatively quickly to see if it's, you know, viable, right?
Absolutely, and I tell people all the time. I said the Topcoder competitors may not know the context or might not have the domain knowledge of the problem, but they know the technology, and that's what we're after. We're actually after your expertise in the technology. Somewhat, you know, you're being trained yourselves. You're using your own assets and your own licenses and such, but your understanding of the technology is really what we're after. All right, we're looking for multiple options. All right, we love competition. We do that internally inside Booz Allen as well. Very competitive environment, and that really bodes well to Topcoder. But we love challenge-based solution delivery, just to be able to put it out there, get multiple ideas, get different people working on it, different viewpoints, and different perspectives. And we say inside our firm, we bring that together ourselves. We reach back, we find out the people that can give us those things. So the two together are a great piece, two pieces of a puzzle. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So you said you guys been running around 60 projects. What would you say is your favorite project that you've done with Topcoder?
So we just wrapped up one really recently, to be honest, and it was an interesting one. It was for a very, I'd say, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So you really wouldn't kind of sometimes think that those people would be running challenges. It was around imagery, taking satellite imagery, some imagery from digital globe that really hadn't been provided before, certainly not in a public kind of arena. And it was called a multi-view stereo 3D stereo challenge. So it was taking these 2D satellite imageries and making 3D point clouds. So quite complex. It would turn out quite difficult a challenge, but which I thought was a great idea. But the client was trying to find 10 to 15 people around the world that could do this. And so they wanted to build a niche little crowd inside of Topcoder. They wanted to find 15 people. And they wanted to kind of challenge the Topcoder community to say, hey, are you 15 people here? Or do I have to go kind of add to the member base and go find them outside? Well, we're still figuring out the winners. We're still evaluating, but we have found 15 people. I think a couple are within teams, but we've definitely found 15 people that can actually do this and made the technology. It was with some of the best of the best co-pilots, helped us along the way. Great feedback constantly. The members helping members, which is really, really good to see. I love the whole aspect of it. But we find, you know, the diamonds within the community that are going to show up, and a couple of those members who actually were in that challenge have won and are going to be at TCO, which I'm really excited.
Yeah, and they'll be able to meet you too there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's say I'm a member. I'm watching this live stream right now. What would be advice to them on ways to succeed on Booz Allen projects?
So creative challenges are obviously very subjective. We try and when we do a challenge spec, we leave it quite open with the amount of, you know, kind of ideas we don't want 10 things all look exactly the same. We're after, you know, very subjective, you know, really think about what they were trying to ask for, the metaphors, right? And typically, if I do get 4 or 5 things that are very, very similar, it's the one that went the extra time, right? Not just use something out of their toolbox, but added they would present it. So I say, if it's creative challenges, very much think about, hey, how do I differentiate myself against the other competitors? It's not all about, you know, same colors. It doesn't have to be that Booz Allen-y blue. Certainly not. We're after very, very varied, but we're looking for, you know, a range of options to pick from. I'd say very oftentimes we've selected 2 or 3 or 4 winners, and we've merged a couple of those ideas together, and that's the beauty of when we can do it. If you get one, if I use a single person, I get one idea and I, one set of mocks, and I kind of betting that's hoping, crossing my fingers that that's going to be the right option. Whereas when I use Topcoder for creative, I get lots of varied stuff, and typically I very much get something that really is like, yeah, we didn't even think about that. That's a great idea. Let's incorporate that. And obviously on code, latest and greatest technologies. So we always typically leave it very open We don't say it has to be Java 1.7 XX and all that kind of stuff. We normally kind of leave that up to the architects and the technologists that are within the community. So bring the latest technologies. If there's an open source library, if there's stuff that you know that works, that solves a problem, that can do it faster than you could do it or more predictably, that's what we're after. We want to learn, and we want to be able to help showcase that. Like Docker, utilizing those kind of technologies, I think are going to go a long, long way to differentiate yourselves from a code perspective. And then looking for integration. So, look about how we tie 2 or 3 sets of APIs together. We're hopefully going to do a challenge at TCO, kind of a hackathon, mini hackathon during the TCO. That another example about integrating 2 or 3 different things. It's for a client. They're very excited to come and see the people do it. We're going to do it live and on virtual at the same time. But think about how to bring 2 or 3 different things together and think out of the box. So wow, that would be the big way to win at Booz Allen.
That's almost breaking news. That's great. But you said virtual too, so like people who aren't physically at the TCO could participate.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all about it's a use case inside the government, and it's fairly predictable about text, but we want to bring the widest number of people to share in the experience, and the client's going to be there. They're going to be there on the Monday to come see the results and meet the competitors and see how it was actually performed, and they're super excited.
That is very exciting. Oh, looking forward to that for sure. So would it be safe to say that you've pretty much run the gambit on types of challenges? Have you run like pretty much every type of challenge that Topcoder has to offer at this point?
I think I have.
Yeah.
And in fact, along the years, I would say I've 2 or 3 or 4 of the different types I've come up with. I've helped kind of Topcoder shape what some of them might be. Bug hunt. They first to finish, that kind of an idea back in the day. But Lux and Rux, I would say they totally surprised me. So they were my 2, at least the most recent ones that we've done that we were really, really pleased with. And so I can't wait to see what the next series of challenges. I think if Topcoder said they had 32 different challenge types, I've certainly been in around kind of the high 20s of the different types of stuff that we've done. Yeah,
that's great. Do you have like a favorite outcome from Topcoder? Like,
oh boy,
yeah.
So the Navy hackathon, that was a Hack the Sky. That was we put that together. There was a hackathon that was going on inside of Booz Allen, one of our kind of co-location iHub facilities in San Francisco. Weren't really sure how many competitors were going to show up online, on premise over the weekend, and we ran a Rux. We ran a Rux challenge, and 72 hours. So it was kind of to end in the middle of the hackathon, and it was around one piece. And it was just blown away. We're absolutely, completely surprised over the quality and the way that people thought about it, the designers. The fact that we did it in 72 hours, it shows it was obviously just rapid innovation. And it was very different. It was around, the hacking was around multi-drones, UAVs, about swarms of UAVs flying, and the communication between them. If there's an obstacle, they spread apart, or how they didn't hit each other, right? And so that was the hackathon. We did a challenge around what would it dashboard look like if I was someone in the Navy, like a Marine, and I was using my Apple Watch and I wanted to see the terrain that was coming from the data from the drone. And if I was the commander of Marines, what would that commander see? And then if I was the pilot who was actually flying the swarm drones, what would they see? So it wasn't multiple screens, it was 3 separate screens, single screens that they would see. And the outcome's phenomenal. And we're working with that particular client to actually build it. We're going to hopefully get here in a couple of weeks to actually build it as a prototype right on top of Topcoder. But one that I was, again, not sure what we were going to get was I was honored to be asked to present at South by Southwest early this year in Austin, Texas. Always wanted to go to that event. I was never really a designer. I was on the technology side, so it was always kind of those guys got to play at that particular festival. But I was asked, there was the Department of Transportation was announcing a smart cities element to the conference, and they were announcing an award of 5 or 6 cities that were going to get many hundreds of thousands of dollars to take on an idea of how to be smart. So we came up with the idea to run a Lux and a 23-hour challenge that I would actually be, and myself and Jen Odess from Topcoder would be presenting. So we'd be actually presenting it at a panel about an hour after it closed. So this was what was amazing. So an hour after the event closed, we would go live and present the outcome. So not only do the members, I mean, absolutely, it's amazing. Quality of the results. They really got into I love the idea of designing an app that we might be using in 2025 when all this data exists. You know the data of the line at Starbucks. You know the data about the people transportation system, a Wikipedia where you can bring up assets and augmented reality. And not only did they create these beautiful screens on a mobile device, but they also put the presentation page together. So it's part of the specification was to create the presentation page. So literally, we could go 20, 30 minutes right after the event, the challenge closed. We had the screens to put together, choose the winners, and put them in sequence, and then present to just over 150 people that were at the panel about how we pulled this off. What did we do to get the great caliber results? How do we kind of utilize the community? How do we set the prize money? And then look at the outcome that comes. And nothing opens up to a client the conversation than when you show them the outcome. Immediately their eyes look up, and they can't, in the caliber of the quality of the output. Absolutely. So they're my two favorites. Hack the Sky.
What was the turnaround on that one, on the left?
23 hours. 23
hours.
hours. We launched it literally at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday and got the results back the next day. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very impressive.
That is awesome. Actually, we have a question from a Topcoder member, Nico Contes. He's wondering what technologies, business strategy, and innovation trends will drive the biggest challenge in Booz Allen Hamilton over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, so I would say, 8 years ago, lots of analytics, right? Lots of analytics and the analytics technologies, R Studio and all that kind of stuff. Lately, in the last 5 years, it has definitely been a lot of the cloud architectures and the stuff that works, kind of resource-based, serverless, and stateless, I would say, computing. But we are definitely seeing the DevOps kind of adoption of a kind of manifesto of style of technology, low, easy hanging Git, moving into technologies like Jenkins and being able to build servers, but it's evolving into, if you're going to have like infrastructure as a service, utilizing those assets when you need them. So think about when a developers, when they commit code, that's when I launch the assets in a cloud provider like Amazon or Microsoft, right? I launch the assets that are required, and then I build on the fly. I do some automated testing. If it doesn't break the build and it passes, then we throw the whole lot away. So I only get charged for those resources, the infrastructure resources while they're being used. That's the beauty of kind of utilizing the cloud for that way it's intended. And then secondly, definitely this whole microservices, serverless computing, where I get paid for microseconds that a process runs, right? And so any of those kind of APIs where I can, I need to change the format of a video file, I need a PDF a document, or any of these kind of calculation functions. We're doing lots of these for clients today, and daisy chaining these things together, but using this as the cloud provider provides all the infrastructure. So it's literally, you're dropping a function. I don't have to have a traffic cop, server that's polling and monitoring systems anymore. All of that stuff's gone away, and an element of a cron job. The cron job's gone away now. I can actually set a scheduler up with the cloud provider themselves, with the technologies that they have, and they're managing it all, right? So it's the less kind of people in the way and more computers doing the work of computers, but you're only paying for the assets while you're using them. Do see kind of less of a bit of Java.net. I would say it's a lot more of those kind of more immersive technologies that we're looking forward to. But obviously a land rush towards mobile. Absolutely a land rush towards the consumerization. Every one of my clients wants some kind of a mobile interface, a mobile program to be able to extract and do the same things that the people can do at their desk. So it's less desktop-based computing, a lot more mobile technologies. Oh, yeah.
So do you have anything in particular or more specific that members can look forward to when participating in future Booz Allen challenges that are along those lines?
I've got one. We haven't looked at the technology. We were just talking with some of the Topcoder guys this morning. I've got a proof of concept. It's something we've been toying with. It's anomaly detection. It's actually detecting 2 different changes within a known good image and something that's been captured. Think about it as a drone. Think of it as a aircraft. Aircraft is sitting at an airport. and people are loading on the aircraft. Well, a drone flies around that entire airplane and taking imagery that I am immediately ranking, comparing an image against a known good image of that 737 or that 747, comparing it, doing a prioritization. Is there a change? Is there an anomaly in these two images? Is that rivet head popped up? Is there some really kind of big defect? Prioritizing that, how big of a difference is of that particular image, and creating a ticket for April when it goes back to maintenance, or saying, hey, we've got a gaping hole that you can't see on the, from the pilot walking around the underneath the aircraft, but from the top side on the wing, there's something wrong, or on the tail, there's something wrong. So you got to down this plane. We got to do it. So which were kind of around the problem-based stuff. The technology is kind of open. We allow the competitors to come up with stuff, find the new open source libraries and such that are out there that would help solve the problem, but have fun with the challenge. So that's one we were talking about this morning. Navy Hackathon, as I say, we're definitely getting to that prototyping of what those different screens might look for the mobile device, web browser, a tablet, and an Apple Watch, or or watch technology. Again, totally different technologies across the different platforms. Leave it up to the members.
And technology is just growing each and every year, right?
Absolutely. Always something new. Yeah.
Always something new coming out. We actually have some live questions coming in as well. So this one comes from Sa2Ed, and he asked, what alternatives did you guys try before coming to Topcoder, if you did any?
Yeah, we're multiple, to be honest. So we obviously use traditional, outsourced companies, and typically the price point was extremely high, and it took a long time to get them to the context to understand, what we were trying to do and kind of the big picture. So lots of traditional consulting medium sites online where I could rent a programmer, where on the different ones that were out there. In fact, I tried all of them, right? All of the ones that were there at the time. Many of them were kind of, they've matured a lot since back in the day when I was originally trying this, so almost 9 years ago. So we constantly track the landscape. But the key part is, again, no one's really doing the review process. They're doing the curation process of helping customers and clients launch challenges, and the outreach and getting the members and the co-pilots and doing that whole aspect. There are lots of people are doing that, but not the actual review process. There's a steam group of kind of technology members that review the process, do the feedback, and so that's happening. We're compensating them for the quality of the review we're getting, but no one's really doing that on a kind of a consistent basis of a platform. If I use these other techniques, I have to do it, or my team has to do it, or I have to go find someone that understands the technology, and sometimes that can be challenging, and oftentimes can be a part of the delay and getting things approved. Whereas in Topcoder, I'm actually getting that built into the process. Topcoder is finding the right people to perform the review, right? And then they're going backwards and forwards with the developer over the code base. So even though we review every line of code that we get, we run it through a number of different security tools to make sure it's complicit and meets the standards. It's great to have those other sets of eyes inside the community, and actually a lot of the issues have gone away. I love telling people that come see TCO, you'll see 0 bug code. Come run a challenge, you'll see 0 bug code. Obviously we have lots of bets whenever we do challenge with the Topcoder managers about how many bugs are going to be in code, and it always surprises us how low the caliber of the quality of the output. And so that's the biggest impressive thing. If I could run something on another platform of software, I typically won't get the same amount of quality due to the review process.
That's great. That's great to hear, especially on our side of things. We like knowing that the customer is satisfied on all fronts. That they won't have to do too much of the heavy lifting. That we'll try to do as much as we can on our side. This member also has one more question. He asks, so if you all are impressed with the results that you're getting from all these Topcoder challenges so far, what's the biggest obstacle that's preventing you from using Topcoder to get more things done?
So it's getting the word out that this particular capability is there. It's getting people over to understand that multiple people are going to be working on a problem, that they are global in nature, that they're kind of outside of the United States. As I mentioned, Booz Allen, we do a lot of federal particular work, even though they're adopting challenge-based solutions very, very in a large extent. It's still deemed quite a novelty. My team inside that I'm part of inside this strategic innovation group is called Edge Technologies. And we look at, my particular group is alternative solution delivery. How can we perform consulting and perform value for our clients? Even though crowdsourcing, I wouldn't say is an edge technology by any way, shape, or means. You know, Topcoder has been around for 15 years. There's people been crowdsourcing forever. So not an edge technology. But what is edge technology about it is how you componentize and turn big projects into little tasks, right? And so to answer your question, right, I have to really want to show the value. And the Navy was the big one. The Navy didn't commission. I didn't spend, you know, a year and a half walking the Navy through the outcome or they can expect of a RUX challenge. We did a RUX challenge as part of a hackathon, and they get to see the output and the value immediately. And then they can say, oh yes, we'll go get the, you know, the money to go get that particular prototype built. And so chicken and the egg, we could bounce, you know, knock on 100 different clients' doors, right? Or I can actually run 100 RUX challenges, and then they're knocking on my door and say, yes, we want to do that. So the hardest challenge is so much convincing people that this is not a novelty, that this is enterprise grade software. And the community is sustaining constantly, that there's always a large number of base. So obviously matching the prize money to the amount of effort, I was kind of, you know, very cognizant of that particular aspect of it. And so it's just basically convincing the contracting officers that are very, you know, very much aware of these are the deliverables, these are the milestones, and this is the outcome I'm going to get on such and such a date. And crowdsourcing is a little more kind of fluid than that. You know, I'm not sometimes sure of exactly how many passing submissions I'm going to get. I'm not so much sure how many challenges I'm going to perform. So they're not exactly locked in as they're known to do, you know, day to day. But a lot of that's changing. I say a lot more of them are running challenges. A lot more of them are understanding that it is kind of a little more fluid. But the key is when you do get a challenge, that you get the output is beyond what we were predicting.
That's a great explanation, especially that whole chicken and egg metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about getting it into the hands of, you know, the people that actually need to run these challenges. And yeah, absolutely, like showing them that this is enterprise grade, you know, quality code that you're gonna, you know,
and it's done very quickly. That's the key, is the speed of how it can be responded. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, just probably a couple more questions left. So this one's kind of a two-parter. So why are you guys hosting TCO at your facility? And what's the best part of hosting TCO at Booz Allen's Innovation Center in particular?
All right, well, that's a great question. So about a year ago, we designed the Innovation Center, and it is really a showcase masterpiece of where we can bring clients and we can show them not only teams, the Booz Allen teams that kind of pitch and have to present of why they should be building and their technologies inside this innovation center. We took an office, a retail space that was be it one of our existing buildings because of convenience, but it was actually a FedEx office that we took. We converted it into a working space and set it, as you mentioned, Nick, all the screens and all the latest and greatest technology you could imagine. But do it as a showcase where we could bring our clients and they can, very informal, they can kind of see innovation and they can bring them with our partners and we can bring them, you know, show them the technologies that we've built. We partnered across the country with Galvanize, Capital Factory, CIC in San Francisco, Austin, Texas. So we've created this kind of iHub so we can do that in other locations. We're actually in incubators and accelerators, those ones I just mentioned. We put our offices in their offices so we can feel the buzz and feel the kind of the Silicon Valley and that whole idea of fast pace. So we can bring our clients. But the Innovation Center is really, it's quite unique. It's a space that is very adaptable. And so when we first looked at what our relationship with Topcoder, what we wanted to do, I really was very pleased. There was an opportunity that from Jesse and the team were willing to come back to DC after being there only a couple of years ago. But I wanted as an opportunity to bring our clients and let them meet and greet the developers, meet the members, and to be able to see what they're up to. And we were at a stage now where we've literally got a critical mass of I'd say clients that are very interested in going to the extra step. They're beyond now just creative design and testing it out. They're actually wanting to build some really big software products and an opportunity to meet and greet the developers and members right there and there in this. I just kind of see the spectacle. You know, it's very hard to describe the spectacle of TCO, and to be able to have an opportunity to not only have it in the city where most of my clients reside, but actually have it in a Booz Allen facility, and have the partners and the members and have some of our staff a meet and greet with the different members. It was too good to pass up. I mean, to be honest, too good of an opportunity, because you hadn't booked anywhere else at the time. So yeah, so we're thrilled to be hosting it, thrilled to have it. The fact that Booz Allen had a location that could do it, and I think the members are really going to really like it.
Yes, I can echo that as well. Yeah, we're really excited about being there too. Be able to convert this into a place that feels familiar to perennial TCO final goers, yet have them be amazed at what we can also show them as well, and what Booz can show them. So yeah, I think that'll do it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me on this call today. I'm sure everyone else is just as welcoming and glad that you joined. If members would like to reach out to you with more questions, what would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think I just changed my lower third to Twitter. It would probably be obviously as an immediate way. I think I got that done. So at Nick Perez, NIC Perez, is my Twitter handle. Please don't hesitate to reach out, especially if you're coming to TCO. If there's any way I can make it better, anything you want to do in the Innovation Center, if there's a game you want to play, there's something you want to do to interact, I really are interested about how we can engage and have some fun while we're there. There's lots of things to do in DC. It's going to be probably a little cold, I got to tell you, so we'll dress appropriately.
Bring a coat.
Yeah, bring a coat. Or there's one we can go get one down the street. But yeah, so outside maybe a little challenging, but there is a park right across the street. We are totally open to some really good ideas to help you maximize the opportunity of the event from Friday night all the way through to Monday night. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And thanks to everyone who have tuned in today, or if you're watching this later, thanks for joining us. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to post on our Facebook page, /Topcoder, or @Topcoder on Twitter. I'm Nick Castillo, your community manager, saying, you know it. All right, so see you in the forums, and I will talk to you all later. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thanks.